Eating has a very long history. Since the beginning of time, when humans developed the practice of hunting, cutting, and mashing food in order to digest it properly. We start learning how to cook, do livestock farming, and start agriculture rapidly. In Cambodia, eating activities can be traced back to the Khmer Empire. This existence can be seen on some 12th to 13th century stone carvings surrounding Bayon temples. Cooking and selling food were part of the everyday life of Angkorian. From the beginning of the first civilization, eating has been one of the most important aspects of human survival. It was written that around 10,000 to 7,000 years ago, humankind experienced perhaps its most important revolution. The Neolithic Revolution, or Agricultural Revolution, as it is called, forever changed the interaction between humans and the world around us by introducing the basic ingredients that make civilization possible. Some of these crops for agriculture and cuisines were introduced to Cambodia centuries ago, creating many inspired foods eaten in Cambodia today. Let's begin with spices. India is known for its spices that have been cultivated for centuries. Starting from the Indus Valley during the Harappan civilization, which is now Pakistan. The domestication of animals and food crops was diverse, such as millet, barley, rice, and spices. During the ancient world, the Harappan civilization is known to have traded spices with Egypt, the Middle East, and China. The presence of Indians, especially the South Indian cultures, and the introduction of spices and food in modern-day Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia was spread in the 4th and 5th centuries, or perhaps earlier by Indian merchants and settlements. Rice. Rice has first been domesticated in the lower part of the Yangtze River Basin in China, 13,500 to 8,200 years ago. From the first cultivation, rice spread first to East Asia, including Mongolia, to North and South Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, followed by the rest of the countries. In Cambodia, rice cultivation was believed to start approximately 4,000 years ago, and became a staple food. There are approximately more than 2,000 rice varieties indigenous to Cambodia, and it is divided into two main types, fragrant and white rice, which won several top places in the world's best rice. Tea. Tea plants can be traced back more than 20,000 years ago as wild native plants, and are native to East Asia and originated in the borderlands of southwestern China, that is Yunnan province, and northern Burma, now Myanmar. Tea drinking have begun in the region of Yunnan, where it was used for medicinal purposes. Meanwhile, in Myanmar, eating tea, such as the Lafet dish, is an ethnic food made from fermented tea leaves eaten for centuries. In the Song dynasty, loose tea leaves were developed and became popular. Noodles. The earliest written record of noodles is found in a book dated to the Eastern Han period. Noodles made from wheat dough became a prominent food for the people of the Han dynasty. On November 2002, Chinese archaeologists discovered 4,000 years old noodles that resemble lamian made of millet, instead of the wheat used today. The discovery made noodles one of the oldest foods to date alongside bread. Chinese presence in Cambodia could be traced back from the 1st to the 7th century during the Kingdom of Funan. Both tea, noodles, and other Chinese spices, fruits, along with the art of stir-frying food, were truly introduced to Cambodia by the wave of Chinese settlement in the late 13th century. Roots, beans, and fruits. Food crops, such as corn, potato, cassava, chili, beans, tomato, originated in Mesoamerica, now modern Mexico, was introduced to Europe in the 14th century during Christopher Columbus's exploration of South America. Later, in the 16th century, these crops for agriculture were introduced to Southeast Asia by the Portuguese and the Spanish. Since its first introduction to Cambodia, crops such as cassava and corn contribute significantly to the agricultural sector in the country. Bread. Introduction of long bread like baguettes to Cambodia in the 19th century was first developed in 18th century Paris, and officially named baguette in 1920. Bread is considered one of the oldest food in history, dating between 14,600 and 11,600 years ago, in a form of a flatbread, which is similar to chapati in India or tortilla in Mexico. It was the ancient Egyptians who first baked leaven, or raised, bread around 3000 BC. Coffee. Coffee began its origin in Ethiopia's highland region. One of many popular stories about coffee is by a man named Kaldi, who discovered the coffee bean while herding his goat in 700 AD. In the 16th century, coffee spread to Persia, modern-day Iran too, Italy, and by the 17th century, coffee had reached India and East Indies. Coffee arrived in Brazil in the 18th century, and by the 1840s it became the largest coffee producer in the world to date. Baguette as an introduction of bread, and coffee alongside wine was introduced to Cambodia in the 19th century by France during the French Indochina period, from 1863 to 1949. That's all for today's episode. About the origin of some form of food and drink we consume today arrived in Cambodia. Stay tuned for more stories about food and its history in future episodes. If you like this episode, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.